So your boy Corey Taylor has been doing the podcast circuit, and I got honestly, he did. I watched him on Steve-O, and I watched him before that on That Rocks with Eddie Trunk and those guys, and then before that on Allison Hagendorf. And I think this one is probably the best best interview I've seen. This guy Zach Sang, and I don't know if Zach is actually a Slipknot fan himself, but he definitely gets in there with some of the best questions, or at least gets Corey to talk about the most interesting stuff. And this bit that I kind of set aside is kind of about the formation of Slipknot and the history of Slipknot. So it's stuff that, obviously I've been a Slipknot fan since their Roadrunner debut. I didn't know who they were before that. I didn't know Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat era Slipknot because I'm not from Des Moines. So I didn't hear about them until the self-titled debut came out, right? And so this for people like myself, who I think is probably the vast majority of people. Either are those hipsters that are like, oh, I knew Slipknot before they were cool. Okay, good for you, buddy. I didn't. And most people, I think, are like me. Most people were unaware of Slipknot until they kind of hit the national stage. So check this out. Your boy Zach here. Let's just listen to Corey talk for a minute, because he kind of tells a little bit of the history of how he got together with Slipknot anyway.
But I was the one that was driven. I was so driven. And because they saw that, they came to me and they were like, we want you to give us that extra element, because I was the best in town. So when I first joined, it was me and Andy. And he was doing, because he had been singing main vocals and playing percussion. So when he wasn't playing, Clown would take over and Andy would sing. So he went to like more of a backup thing and would play percussion. And I was handling like the majority of like the main vocals. I
didn't know that either. I didn't know that they were both performing in Slipknot for a minute.
Can't blame him for this. It wasn't enough for Andy. Like he wanted to be a singer, man. He wanted to be the guy. He wanted to be the man, And because of the way that it was handled, and I don't know a lot of the politics behind it, because at the time I was, the new guy. So I didn't get a lot of that story. I know that it rubbed Andy the wrong way. And I was one of the first to go to him and apologize, because I wanted to try and keep it together. And I was like, is there any way we can make this work? And he said, dude, it's not you. It's like, this is some shit that's been coming for a minute. And this just made my mind up for me. He's like, I wish you all the luck. I wish you everything, but I'm going to go do my thing. And that's one of the reasons why he and I still talk.
Let's dissect something here for a sec. Because you've said before that Slipknot is a bunch of people who aren't friends, whereas Stone Sour is a bunch of people who are friends.
Right.
But there's a difference in the trajectory of the two groups, obviously, because you leave one to go to the other, but there was something that was pulling you to Slipknot.
It was the frenetic energy of it. It was the fact that it was so different than anything I'd ever heard, man. I mean, when the first time I saw Slipknot, it was literally the night.
So this is really good.
Before we were playing the same club, and first of all, they didn't even walk on stage. They walked through the audience. They came through us, all en masse.
Fucking awesome.
I mean, it was the craziest shit I'd ever seen. And here I'm standing up front going, what in the shit is about to happen? Because they hadn't played any music for anybody. They hadn't done anything. And then all of a sudden, here they come, dude. It was a fucking force of nature. And you could feel the hunger on that stage. You could feel the intensity. I mean, they were right fucking here, dude. And I was just, and I'd never done this before, and I've never done it since. I remember I was standing there and I said, I'm going to be the singer for this band. And literally a year later is when they asked me. Like, it was crazy, dude. I was blown away. What it was about them was the fact that I wanted to try it because I loved the music. I'd never done anything that gnarly before, but I knew that there was something in me that needed that music so I could unleash that voice. You know what I mean?
What's it like?
That's so crazy. I love that origin story. And I'd never heard it before. And I think it kind of explains Corey a little bit more because he wasn't a death metal type of guy. So it's pretty clear, I think, when you listen to him talk about the music that he likes. Really, he's wearing an Alice in Chains shirt, and Stone Sour. So he obviously, and if you listen to the stuff he's doing solo now, he's obviously a guy who is definitely more into that kind of song-written type rock music than like the just like kill you death metal type vibe that Slipknot has, but he was able to kind of adapt his voice to that in such a cool way. And I mean, I've talked about this before, and I listed Iowa on my top 10 records of the 2000s pretty high on the list. I mean, it's in the top 10. So, but those first two Slipknot records, and even the third and the fourth one, are just, I mean, I would say this to Corey, but I think bands like Lamb of God, and obviously Slipknot are the new millennium Metallica and Pantera, really, right? Who else fits in that category? Who else has been consistently churning out great records for the last 10, 20 years in metal? Slipknot, Lamb of God, Norma Jean, I would probably put in there, but I don't even think that they're on the level that, like, and I don't even mean musically or talent-wise, I just mean audience-wise. I don't think that they're as big as Slipknot. They're definitely not as big as Slipknot or Lamb of God. They're not filling the type of arenas that those bands can. I mean, I saw Slipknot last year with Cypress Hill in Vegas in the MGM Arena, home show, I guess, for Corey, but it was massive, and I was so impressed. One of the things that stuck out to me the most was when he goes, "How many of y'all have seen Slipknot before?" He did that. It was like it's like the Pantera thing. Philly's hat. How many? This is your first time seeing Pantera? And when he said, "How many of you are veterans?" There's a cheer. But then when he said, "How many of you, this is your first time seeing Slipknot?" the roar was even louder. And that just made me feel so good, as a metalhead, to go, wow. Original Slipknot singer, Anders Kolsefny. I don't know how you say that. Open to doing something new with his former band. So in a podcast interview with Chaosis frontman Zen, original Slipknot singer Anders Kolsefny was asked if he would be open to recording a new song with his former band if he was approached about it. He responded, as transcribed by Blabbermouth, "Yes, absolutely. If they contacted me and wanted me to do something, yeah, why not?" Asked to name his favorite Slipknot song, and this I thought was so cool. Since he exited the group, Anders said, "To be honest with you, I'm going to say Wait and Bleed, the very first one that hit right after I left. And it's one that I would have thought I would have hated the most just because of my circumstances. But that song, when I heard it, I'm like, that's it. I couldn't have done that. So kudos to you guys. So Wait and Bleed." So it's really cool to see that kind of camaraderie between those guys, and that they're cool with each other and they're not, hating each other. This past June, it was announced that Kolsefny will perform Slipknot's independently released debut effort, Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat, in full on tour this year. Anders will team up with former Mushroomhead vocalist Waylon Revis for the co-headline New Metal Mayhem trek set to take place in Australia and New Zealand in October. Asked by Zen if there are any plans to take the tour to other parts of the world, including the US and Europe, Anders said nothing planned yet, but I'm not going to say nothing will happen because I really hope something will. A short time after the New Metal Mayhem tour announcement, Slipknot's longtime singer Corey Taylor took to his Twitter to share a Kerrang article about the trek, and he wrote in an accompanying message, I wish I could be there to see those shows, but I know Anders Kulsefny is going to crush them. So that is very cool that they have Corey and Andy have that kind of a mutual respect and relationship with each other. And it's very cool of Corey to support him like that, you know, because obviously Slipknot is the platform that, or the project that launched Corey to the status that he has now. And so it's cool that he can kind of look back and just give respect to all of that. And man, if you had told me when I heard the first Slipknot record, you know, in 2000, that was 23 years ago. I mean, if you had told me that Slipknot would be that band in 20 years, I would have never believed it. I would have never believed it.